Good morning, everyone. I'm going to do an operations update for what's going on in Ukraine for the 10th of September. So, Ukrainian forces have captured an estimated 2,500 square kilometers in and around the Kharkiv Oblast in this region here where we're looking at here. This whole blue area is everything that is what Ukraine has captured so far. Now, apparently, the biggest push has been towards what is called, there's a town called Kupiansk, which is roughly in here. Oops, I'm going to put my thing back on. Roughly in here. Ukrainian troops pushed hard into that region. There's a river that runs here, and they have met those objectives. Now they're pushing southward to cut off the Russian soldiers that are occupying Izum. Right now, there are Ukrainian soldiers also to the south of Izum pushing northward, and they're going to try to basically envelop this and cut this entirely off. Why this is significant, not only is for liberating Izum, but there's a road, and I talked about this before. There's a road that runs right here, and they would free up that line of communication. Also, in this area, you can't see it, but there's also a railroad, and it runs roughly through here. I'm not entirely sure how it goes, but this rail line runs to Russia, roughly something like this. If they can cut off this rail line, Russia's a rail focused movement, military. They don't have a lot of trucks to move troops in mass. They focus solely on rail because that's what's worked for them in World War II, because they have a lot of rail assets, but rail is very one-dimensional. So if the Ukrainians were to cut off the rail, which actually runs more like this, but if the Ukrainians were to cut off the rail access for Russia, that is a significant blow in this region for them to reinforce anything, troops, equipment, doesn't matter. And that's currently what it looks like is taking place. Now, Ukrainian forces may collapse this position and basically eliminate the ground lines of communication, both north and south of Izum, and this probably is going to happen in the next few days. If successful, severing this would be a massive blow to the Russian military and the Kremlin. Incidentally, there's actually reports of fighting that I'm reading taking place in Lysychansk, which is, so you have Severodonetsk here, but it's right across the river from there, which is right here, which would indicate that Ukrainian troops may not have taken the city, but they are fighting in this region here. Now, these are Telegram reports, so I'm not entirely sure their accuracy, but there's images being shown by Russians. The Russian side is sharing these images. I don't know why the Russians continue to have problems keeping their soldiers from just showing pictures of what's going on there. And showing pictures in that region. And all throughout this region, in the last 48 hours, there's been this influx of Russian prisoners of war, these pictures of Russian prisoners of war. So, needless to say, this offensive is going very successful for the Ukrainians. The Kremlin is rushing resources to the Kharkiv and Izium line to try to halt the advances, but they're doing it by truck, and it's taking a while, and these military convoys may not be effective because they're redeploying units that were there already and are severely degraded. So reading on some of the Russian Telegram channels, there are a lot of reporters from, I wouldn't call them reporters, but bloggers from the Russian space welcoming the reports of reinforcements, but now a lot of them are criticizing Russia for even opening this up as a possibility for Ukraine to take. So it's been a very successful situation for them. We'll move on to the other regions of the map. Not much happening down here. You see some of the small blue. These were actually blue over the last couple days already. So these were already areas where Ukraine was fighting. Mainly the effort is in up near Kharkiv and Kherson, which we'll move on to Kherson here now. So, whoops, going the wrong way. So we're looking at the Kherson, Mykolaiv region. Incidentally, not as much movement here, but there is reports that are not showing up on this map that this entire coastline to this area right here has been liberated by the Ukrainians. So that's a big deal because the mouth of this river is of strategic importance. Now, obviously, the Russians have control throughout this area here, but they don't have enveloping control surrounding it, and it just plays an additional part in the distance between there and excuse me, and Kherson. So looking at it right now, much of the fighting is still in targeting Russian ferries, the Russian ferry crossings in various areas along these rivers here near the city, destroying any kind of re-emerging ground line of communication, anything. And a ground line of communication, again, is a supply route, a line of effort to move troops, etc., not just communication like we think of it, like talking. So that is their main focus, is destroying any kind of reinforcing effort to choke out the Russians here. And they're very effective. There's been videos, some of them are quite graphic, showing Russian pontoon bridges being hit while vehicles are crossing them, and Russian soldiers frantically trying to not die in the river, but also saving their buddies and tending to the wounded, etc. So just a bad day all around for Russia at this point, which is a good thing. So the Ukrainian forces are maintaining strict operational silence down here, which is why this is kind of vague. There's not a lot to report on. We don't know as much of what's going on. This region here could be in Ukrainian hands. It could not be. We don't know. Could be anything going on there. So that's kind of where we're at right now when it comes to operations. But I'll try to do a general update here a little later.